Thank you for your time. My name is Rusty Love. Let's get into why I have 58 frames. Sorry, I have 58 loadouts and 58 frames, but that is not why I have 58 loadouts. 58 frames, it means 58 jobs. This is Nova. She's at the top because she is my number one, my go-to, my main, for the fact that she can lock down a room with slow and then speed up missions with the speed buff is just astronomically amazing. And having one of the best tanking abilities in All-Star. Yeah, it's also one of the best subsumes in Warframe. Makes Nova just a great choice. She's my go-to support frame. Of course, I support in slowing down and speeding up missions. Gara's up at the top because she is my go-to and favorite nuke. For the fact all I have to do is set up her 3, 4. All I have to do is press 1 and make sure I have nourish up in case I ever need energy. But honestly, with Dirga here in Kazakor, she doesn't need any that much extra energy. She just needs Archon stretch. Yes, Gara is my best nuke. Yrel Roth. He's a fast DPS frame. My go-to DPS melee frame that is also a caster. My Narmar school will be on all of my melee frames, but my melee frame can still be a caster. Being a new frame, Yrel or Roth made it very high up into the rankings, being a fast frame with his first ability and having great crowd control and a fun kit to just spam. Mag, you've seen Mag a lot. She's my go-to frame for making weapon videos because I made her build specifically and chose Mag because she specifically does not actually buff up any weapons at all. Nothing. You get pure raw damage. No companions or anything. Mainframe, support, nuker, Yrel, nuker, Mag, weapons tester, Wisp, my go-to and absolute favorite support frame. For the fact that she buffs your health, your heal, your status chance, apparently, and your speed and fire rate is amazing. With some of the best actual tanking abilities out there, I also have silence on her because her 4 is not the greatest. Support frame because I'm a support player. My rotation is usually double cast 2, then cast 3, then cast 2, then 3, then 4, then cast 3, then 2, then 4, and just make sure and just spam 2 so I can keep up the overguard on my teammates. Because I am a support player, this is what I find to be fun. Elvira is my legit farming frame. She's my open world frame. Whenever I want to literally mine or fish some fish. Wow, that's actually weird. The name of the object is also the activity of getting it. I use Elvira. She's also a spy frame. Because honestly, when you're bad at spy missions and you don't know any of the layouts, Infiltrate is the go-to mod. You don't like spy missions? Infiltrate. Rust. He is my ECO frame. He's the frame that I use when I want to level up weapons. Yes, I keep most of my. I like to keep my weapons leveled up. He is just he's a really good support frame actually. One of my favorite for having the ability to lock down an entire area and give overguard while also nuking, which is why you see Roar. He is an ECL frame, so if there is not a nuke within my party, guess who's nuking? I am. Core, loot frame, support, nuke, speed, support, support, looter. You always need to keep your looting frame handy with your looting setup. I don't need to explain Cora, she's the game's best looter. Let's get into Araxia, one of the newest weapons platformers with one of the most overpowered weapon buffs. It adds toxin damage on your enemies and bursts the damage out 7 meters on kill. That's great. So you get 150% extra damage. That's toxin. So that goes through shields. And you're telling me I'm also immune to statuses and I have max energy? Get out of town. I love this woman. So laid back. Then you have my go-to bossing frame. This is the assassin frame. This is not just my fastest frame. This is who I bring out when I want to take down a boss. She does the job perfectly, and I have an amazingly strong build that has handled all situations that I've thrown at her. All situations. Valkyrie. She's just overpowered. She's a cheese. She's who I bring out when I don't want any actual challenge whatsoever. So of course I bring her to Descendia. Because Descendia gets pretty complicated and it's quite tough for some frames, but if you don't have to worry about anything, then it's easy. That's Valkyrie for you. Don't worry about it. Inaros has the same model, but a different style. Valkyrie is pure armor and has a passive that will save her from death. Inaros just can't die. My build specifically has been tested with the new update to handle everything but the Jade's Light. I can literally stand. No. Whenever I get a Kuva survival for 20 minutes Nightwave challenge, I bring Inaros out, and I literally AFK at each. What do they call it? At each little tower, whatever it's called, and just wait the entire 20 minutes out while I'm like on my phone or on my tablet, literally doing everything else. Combat is literally a suggestion. Combat is literally a suggestion. 2025, 25's most used frame, Wukong. I shouldn't have to explain too much. Create a doppelganger that will use the opposite weapon of you. If you use a primary, he will use a secondary. So of course, I give him the strongest base damage weapons in game. And I used colorful. Yes, this is a melee frame. But that's also because he is an iron staff frame. But you saw that. Chroma. Credits. That's all you need to know. Credits. I just load out up at the top because I farm a bit of credits. I don't overdo it, but you know I farmed a bit for that. I'm gonna hurt your feelings. I don't like this frame. I just don't like her. Her entire kit, it just doesn't vibe with me. She's a strong frame, a great nuke frame, a great tank frame, a great support frame. She does everything. She can lock down a room, and she can just destroy an entire room. But honestly, I'm just not into her. I'm just not into her. I use her purely for hijack missions. That's it. I bring Hildred nowhere else. I'm just not into that, into her kit. My strongest nuke, actually. But everybody understands that. Sevagoth is the widest and best. Sevagoth has the most range of a nuke in Warframe with the ability to actually nuke. That's one-hitting your opponent. I've been working on this setup for a while, and this is my go-to setup for Sevagoth gameplay, and that does require me doing nothing but casting my 2 and 1. I don't use my 3 unless I absolutely have to. That's my backup skill, but then again, if you have the correct build and loadout on your Sevagoth, you will not need your Gloom. Everything will be dead. Roar is needed though. You need that extra bit of damage. Umbra. It's my questing frame. Every quest I have done in this game has been done with Umbra or Excalibur or Umbra Excalibur. Why? I guess it's a bit of nostalgic vibe. I love the quest so much. I kind of want to keep with the theme, keep with the storyline. In the storyline, this is the most meaningful frame in the game. You will find out why when you do the sacrifice quest. Nadaruk, because it's a quest spell. We're sticking with the quest theme. No, I'm not using the Grimoire. Actually, why aren't I using that? It's not a bad weapon. Not any. It. I don't have a bad build. I'm using the Prisma Scana purely so I can use Arthur's skin. I wanted Arthur to use his own sword. Then we have Haro. God, Haro. Even before the big changes, when you even back then you weren't meta, and even in ECO, because Trinity owned ECO. Forget the complicatedness. It's the fact that Haro needs his entire kit, and he needs to use his entire kit. He's a complicated frame, but an amazing support. Haro has some diehard fans, but I'm just not one of them. He's a great support, though. Banshee. Banshee is one of my favorite companion frames. I've made her purely for companions. Her companion is the Great Diaga with Tazakor. I gave her Gloom and Silence, so I only need to spam Sonar. Her 4 does something. That's all I can say. It does something. Nynx. She's a little low in my loadouts. It's actually organized by my most used, but honestly, you could be too strong of a frame. When it comes to not dying, when you're so strong at not dying that the extra park the extra Archon shards I have are purely for aesthetic reasons, you know you're a strong frame. When the build doesn't matter, and only one specific mod matters, you know a frame is strong. assimilate. Now, I've already done the math for this. Absorb augment. Nynx can use weapons during absorb, and its duration is infinite, but consumes 6.5 energy a second, and its area effect is halved. So I have 641 energy. The initial cast is 75 energy. That puts me at 579, 569. So I have roughly 72 seconds of pure raw tanking every bit of damage. Even nullifiers nowadays. And Revenant and his melee charges wants to compete with this? No. Revenant cannot stand there for 72 seconds doing absolutely nothing. Nynx can. Now let's talk about our kit. Why I actually personally love it. Radiation. Hey, I don't feel like fighting. Let's watch them fight themselves. It's an armor strip that can work on 3 enemies or it works on 2 enemies. It all depends if you have it augmented or not. But it armor strips, and if it's augmented, it'll give radiation status. Mind control. It will take control over the mind of one enemy, and it'll turn it into a companion with increased damage and health. She's a frame literally meant to do almost nothing. I love her. Vault is my go-to nuke for easy for non-steel path easy missions. He is my go-to shield. So he's not a go-to frame at all. I just love all proto frames in general. He's a melee frame. He's really strong, without a doubt. One of my absolute strongest frames. I just don't use him like that. I don't get off on damage. Well, guess what, Saren? I don't get off on damage. This is a melee build. I use Colorful on her so I can maximize her 3. Got it, it does beautiful. I'm just not a DPS player. Same with you, Mirage. I'm just not a DPS player. But I have an actual build that works perfectly for weapons platforming. I just have no need for it. Same thing with Mesa. I'm even using Mesa's Waltz. But I'm just not a DPS player, so these gals are at the bottom. Jade, though. Jade's fun. One of the funnest. She's a support frame that flies. And she actually is pregnant. I love her story. I love her look. I love her kit. It's just the missions I do. You don't need that 72% strength bonus. You don't need that 288% damage bonus. You don't need that 29% shield bonus. You just don't need it. I can revive teammates, I can fly, and I can heal, but honestly, the buffs are great. For noobs. I said it. They're good for noobs. When you're already at the level where you can do your own damage, you're not going to feel that extra bit of damage until you hit levels like 700 or 600. But unless you're doing level cap, you're not gonna feel this difference. You're not gonna need it whatsoever. So she's here at the bottom. Grody. I love you, my gal. My gal. One of my favorite support frames, but she's just so old. I've had her for a while. I use the same roar setup. All I do is all I do is main my 3 and 2. 3 and 4, I press 2 for enemies near me, and of course I give out my shield bonus. I have it on reversed. I have it reversed, so I tap for my shield satellites and I hold for the vortex. Because I am a support player. Zaku, you're old, but you're a good DPS frame. I just don't need you. I mainly use Zaku in Hive missions because he cheeses it. His spore can break all of the little hives. Atlas, or the One Punch Man. He has amazing defense, great health tanking capabilities, but honestly, if you're close enough to Atlas to do damage, he's close enough to punch you. And we don't call him One Punch Man for nothing. Landslide? Nope, you are done. It is an AoE too? You're kidding! Here's the queen. The queen of support. She gives you energy, she gives you health, she strips armor, and gives you damage reduction while full healing you and your shields. She's just aged. I'm sorry, girl. I love you. I really do. You are amazing. A super fun frame, an amazing tank. I just don't use you anymore. The game doesn't need healers and energy and healers and health and energy frames anymore. You can't tell me this guy is a support frame. Ooh, he gives energy. Well, guess what? No Tenno should rely on another Tenno to get energy. So, on a regular basis, Noko will not need to give himself too much energy. But guess what he does do? Gives too much energy. You will literally be maxed energy, and there'll be nothing around to kill. Because his 4 kills everything. It bounces 10 times and has a 14-meter range. Come on, man. He does too much damage. Octavia. Low-key was my very first frame. My starter frame was Volt, but I bought myself Octavia and dropped Volt. I wanted to start this game. I wanted to start this account off kind of spoiled. After studying all the frames, I did a hard guess to realize that Octavia was the strongest frame that I could find. And yes, she is technically Warframe's strongest frame. Oh yeah, I just made a lot of you cringe, but guess what? All of her abilities scale. Rhythmic beats damage into nearby enemies and draws their fire. Damage inflicted on the mallet increases lethality. So it not only admits it not only deals damage, but it takes the damage that the enemies deal to it and deal it back to the enemies. So yes, the mallet scales with enemy level, and it takes away aggro, making him not want to attack the Octavia. Resonator literally is explained by turning off the enemy AI, forcing them to chase around a ball that will explode at the end of its timer. Now it's just a strong explosion, no doubt. But its crowd control ability is stupid. Then you have Metronome. It grants multi-shot, it grants melee damage, and it grants speed. And it grants increased armor. What? Huh. Cool. And it also turns you invisible. Yeah. This is basically a permanent invisibility. For as long as you have this buff open and you stay with the beat, you are invisible. Then you have the amp. Literally scales off of noise. Draws power from the decibel level of sound in the area and uses it to amplify damage a damage buff for Octavia and her allies. And it doubles the damage and range of nearby mallets. So not only does this buff your frame and your weapons and your allies, but it also buffs up her one. Yeah, permanent invisibility with a scaling 1. Get out. Get out. Yoreli. Girl, I love you. I really do. Your K-Drive is fun. I love your storyline. It's amazing. Your tanking abilities is astronomically. It's astronomical. There's just better out there. Being that you're a secondary weapons platformer, I don't want to use Loyal Merlina because I like the K-Drive. I really do. Ash. He is a weapons platformer, but he can do primary or secondary. It doesn't matter. He's also a nuke frame. Yes, if you want to build around it, his 4 will nuke. It will absolutely decimate entire groups. But why is he a weapons platformer? What does Ash do? Okay, he has Roar. Okay, he has Smokescreen. He goes, what's this? Critical chance. Yes. Smokescreen now works on allies and gives them a 150% flat critical chance buff while invisible. Yes, please. Please, please, yes. Yes, please. The radius scales, the duration scales, the energy drain scales, but the critical chance does not scale. Oh well. Necros. That's all that needs to be said about Necros. Gauss. I'm actually thinking about reorganizing it because Gauss has been one of my go-to frames for being very fast. My sprint speed is 2.3. That's ultimately faster than everybody. Yeah, I lost the race to one Titiana. Who were you? You were a Naros or a Wukong. Somehow you actually beat me to the finish line, but hey. Gauss is also known as the Immortal Frame for having so much shield. Sorry, so much shield regain. Which one says shield regain? Hmm. Well, it doesn't say, but here we go. Moving generates an electric current that fills Gauss's battery. Shield recharge up to 120% faster, while the recharge delay is up to 80% shorter on based on battery level. That this is your battery. It's not this, it's this. Why it's called red line and not battery, I don't know. But hey. Yes. I purely like Goss for his ability to move fast. When you have weapons like these, you don't need to worry about having abilities that deal a lot of damage. Equinox. I've been slowly getting at Equinox, but they're quite weak. An amazing nuke with an overpowered stat behind that nuke, which is Slash. But honestly, it's not an easy nuke, and Equinox requires investment. She really does require investment in order to be good. They, sorry, I don't even like the day form. Foley. I just did my video about Foley. She's alright. She's unique. She's alright. She's not a support frame. She's a DPS frame that's alright. I'm just not a DPS player. Temple. He could come off as a weapons platformer. He is quite strong in that ability, in that category, along having Lizzie, his exalted guitar being a flamethrower. He's actually a really strong frame, but he lacks. Okay, his abilities take too long. The casting time is just dumb, and his element heat's just not that, you know, good, important. He can double dip. Sorry, he can heat inherit, but that's about it. I'm gonna speed run through these four. We got Rhino with Roar. What do you do? What do you do? Rhino with Roar, Grendel with Nourish, then Lavos with Catalyze, and finally, the last weapons platformer is Hydroid with Plunder. These are all weapons platformers that I will never use. I play around with Grendel now and then because funny roll, funny ball, funny bouncy ball. That's about it. Zephyr is a caster that is also a weapons platformer, but a DPS frame, so of course she is near the bottom. She's a great frame, but her abilities themselves, honestly, not what I'm looking for out of a frame. Her playstyle is just not my thing. Varuna, she's super fun to play. She is a casting DPS nuke. She relies on her she relies on her one to stay alive, and then she uses her 3 and her 4 to nuke. She's a great nuke frame. She's super fun. She's just DPS. She's a super fun frame. Sorry, she's not as fun as Verona. She's more of a laid-back nuke, considering the fact her 2 main abilities that keep you alive. I mean, they increase in their own timer, so you don't even have to worry about it. You're literally only spamming 1 the entire time. And anything that doesn't die by your 1 will die by your 4. So it's like, not much to do. But look at the floor. I used to love Vauban so much. Vauban. His 4 used to be so overpowered. But recent tile set changes have just made him fall out. You can definitely tell you don't nearly see as many Vubans as there used to be. It's quite sad, but I understand. I'm still working on this Garo, but she is a fun melee frame. God, please don't make her a weapons platformer, please. Understand that she's a melee frame. If you want to use a gun, use a gun. Just don't expect her to be a strong gun frame. The reason why I have no melee is so I can use her passive weapon, which is an exalted weapon called Garuda Prime Talents, because they don't have a name. Sorry, you're not going to see the build. I'm still working on her. Sticking with my DPSs, yes, they're all at the bottom. Baruk is a decent tank, but a better DPS. But I don't do DPS like that anymore. Kome is a caster. She can do health tanking, but she would be a better shield gainer. For the fact you could literally spam her abilities. But hey, she's not weak. She's just a DPS frame, and it's just not my thing. I like her kit. I like her style. I just haven't made up a reason to use her. Abron. I loved Abron before the rework, but you got to explain one thing to me. If you give me the ability to increase people's armor, increase their health, and then heal them at the exact same time, why the flip would you make them all immortal because I picked up a health orb? My entire team goes immortal permanently, basically. All you get in order to die, you gotta stop killing. Considering Oberon strips armor and does 70% does health damage. Sorry, doesn't tell me how much health damage. You're not going to be not killing. You're going to be wiping out your enemies. So, what's the point of renewal when you rely purely on his passive to tank? Literally, what is the point anymore? Daggett is a fun weapons platformer. No. Yes, this one. Her 3 gives a nice critical bonus, and I mean a very nice critical bonus. But I'm still learning her rotation, and she's a DPS frame, so that's gonna be a slow learning curve. Sight 09 has a sniper frame and a DPS frame. I never liked anything about this frame. I don't like his kit. Uh, Having Evade be a subsume is nice. Allows everyone to be invisible, and it has almost no timer, so benefits are there. Then you have the ability to buff any weapon with an extra shot of any element you want. Yeah, he sounds amazing. But when it's all for the fact all for him to use a sniper, I lost all interest. Caliban. He is a support nuker, and he's really, really good at it. All you have to do is keep your 3 up and use Ortholist, which is the second one, the cannons, and then just press 1 and everything dies. As a shield buffer and a nuke, he's just not a fun frame to me. He's boring. Yeah, he has interesting abilities to look at, but spending hours pressing one button is really boring. He's a casting frame and he's really good, but I'm sorry, buddy, but you're kind of bad. Loki, you had no chance when they made that Ash augment. You had no chance in the world. You had Ash by having the most invisibility time, and then they buffed him, made him stronger, made his invisibility better. You just got left out. I'm sorry, buddy. I used to play a lot of Loki. He was an easy frame to steal path, but honestly, there's better out there. Nidus is a frame whose kit I don't like. I can't get used to it. It's odd to me. And tanking with him is just difficult for me. He's supposed to be an unkillable frame, but honestly, I have a hard time myself getting up enough mutation stacks to get that immortality. It's like I need a lot more practice, but honestly, with practice, is he a DPS frame? I don't know. He's a nice crowd control though, and he's a nice buffer. He's one of the best buffers in Warframe. I thought it was actual strength, but it's damage. It just gives blast damage. Huh. Yeah, no. That's Nidus. He's at the very bottom. I mean, he looks cool, nice design, nice story. I just can't get into him. No, this is a warning. I'm going to rant for a bit. I'm going to say some mean things. This Warframe is terrible. If you think he's good, then I'm sorry. You're not smart. And your argument's probably going to be is 1, 2, or 3. Let's look at this. Banish. Cast a wave of rift energy that damages hostile, so pushing enemies and allies out and into Limbo's current plane of existence. I'd add that out and into. When you're inside the rift, no, you cannot use your weapons. You will not do damage, but honestly, that's not a problem. That's banish isn't a problem versus enemies. If you're a limbo that actively uses banish on your allies, you do deserve to have your account banned and your computer absolutely destroyed. I needed to be burnt to a crisp, unrepairable. And I needed to cause actual damage to the house. I want the explosion to be so bad it burns the walls and carpet. Of course, you won't be hurt, just financially. And stasis. It freezes the rift bombed enemies while active. Enemy projectiles are arrested in mid-air, resuming its trajectory when stasis ended. So basically, when you press your 4 or your when you press your 4 or your 1, this will freeze all enemies in the area and also freeze their bullets. Cool, 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 cool. And then we have surges nearby rift-bound enemies with rift energy. When killed, the rift surge is transferred to nearby enemy outside the rift surge. Enemies that leave the rift perform a red isle banish. The hell does that mean? Okay. Whatever that means. Yep. Limbo is a trash frame. He's a terrible idea. And I want the person who came up with the idea of Limbo and his abilities to die horribly. I don't mean to upset people, but let's get into why I hate this frame. Why I hate him to the core. If I do play with the Limbo, I will not only watch you die, I will teabag you until you die, and then quit the mission. I will not help you up. I will not support you. You're on your own. Why is that? Dodge to enter and exit the rift. Entering leaves behind a small rift portal lasting 5 seconds. Energy slowly recharges while in the rift, and each enemy killed in there also gives 10 energy. So, when you dodge or roll, you leave a rift open for your allies to then jump inside on accident, not knowing that they have to then roll to get out. But once, like I said earlier, when you're in the rift, you can't use your weapons. No primary, no secondary, no melees. You have to literally read up on Limbo to understand you have to roll out of the rift. How many people know that knowledge? It's not basic knowledge. It's not common sense. It's not 2 plus 2 equals 4. No, not at all. And then we have this hellacious of an idea. What? A violent blast of void energy tears open a pocket of rift plane which can sustain itself for a short period before collapsing into another lethal blast. But guess what? Weapons don't work in his 4. You can't be inside it. Nothing can be inside it. Nothing can be on outside it. You have to be outside of the circle, along with the enemies. Make sure you're not in a rift in order to do damage. For new Tenno, they're not going to be relying on their abilities to attack. We don't have World on Fire Ember anymore. Warframe's not about that. You can't just pick up any frame you want and then start nuking maps. You have to pick up a weapon, you have to build that weapon, make it strong, And then you have to make sure a Limbo doesn't enter your party and turn off your weapons. Makes them useless. Makes you have to actually start changing your own playstyle so you can at least do something. And not be an absolute waste of space to the squad. But honestly, it's not your fault. It's the Limbo's fault. He is crippling his squad mates, and he does nothing good for the team. Aww, his 4 can slow down enemies. Guess whose 4 slows down enemies better? Guess who's cheaper? Ah, same drain, but honestly, 100% better. Let's say we don't use that. We use another type of slow. That's still 100% better. Okay. Let's say you don't have either of those. You have this one. Everyone knows silence. Silence does something to the AI of enemies, making it a slow at the same time. Because I am assuming that they're trying to cast an ability, but can't. So that makes it a slow. Because it's slowing down their actual actions because they don't know how to skip an input. Oh, I can't cast abilities. Let me stop trying. Not there. Oh, yeah. And we have Frost, who literally has a shield with 22,000 health, but can also freeze enemies. And any enemies that get through his shield is frozen. So you're telling me that Limbo is better than all of those frames combined? Bullshit. You're telling me Limbo is more useful than a Foley with her arc traps and a Wisp and her moats. Her electric moats could easily lock down an entire room. You cannot tell me Limbo is a good frame. There is 34 frames in the game, and there's only one you should be playing. And one of these days, we're gonna have 99 problems, and Limbo's gonna be one of them. Ah, I hate the frame so much. Only reason I even have it and have a build for Limbo is because an ex-friend gave them to me and wanted me to actually, give him the good old college try. But he didn't understand why I didn't like Limbo. So I solo a lot. There's still better frames than Limbo. Limbo is a fragile, weak frame with no DPS, no buffs at all, and has a very weak slow. Yes, I said it. He has a very weak slow. He has a very weak shield. He is a weak frame. If the only thing about him you like is the fact he can lock down a room, then you're just being biased. I understand. Look at this man. You want him to be a good frame. Look, I'm not even kidding. Look at him. This is a sexy frame. Beautiful looking frame. Oh my god, look at the design. But he's a terrible person. Absolutely terrible person. That's why I use 58 loadout slots. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and share, and I do hope you have a nice day.